Yeah. Let's talk about the combine. Shout out to Obi and all these black players from black colleges who don't get combine invites, which is trash. Amir Hall didn't get a combine invite. Oh my God, that hood Chinese is coming back to hurt me. Go ahead and talk.
Yeah, man. So the combine is this week. For those of you who don't know, as Kenny's already alluded to, it's often referred to as the Underwear Olympics. Basically, the world's 300 most elite college athletes, football players are all sent to Indianapolis to be poked, prodded, weighed, eyeballed, and put through a series of drills related and not related to football, including the 40-yard dash, bench press, and
hours and hours
position-specific drills,
and hours of interviewing. Where sometimes they
medical exams.
Where they ask sometimes if your mother was a crack whore and did you do drugs and are you gay and would you kiss a man? But that was Darius Weiss. Yeah. So what? There's always every year there's some weird ass questions that people ask, and then it gets leaked afterwards.
Weird ass questions that you would never be able to ask in any other job interview. Because
any other one.
That's essentially what this is. This is
HR complaint.
This is the grandest scale of an interview.
Would you kill your mother or your father? What the fuck? That has nothing to do with football. Like, why? And that's the part of this I don't like. Is like the mental. Like Warren Sapp said, the combine was created for you to lose money, and I kind of agree in some aspects.
No, it definitely is. I remember reading a profile on it. I think a season or 2 seasons ago, where it's essentially you go through this whole grind leading up to the combine because. Even though it can lose you money, it's basically a tiebreaker. So it can make you some money. If you're a middle of the pack guy, you can move up. But it's more scaled for you to move back. Anyways, so yeah, these guys train for hours on end leading up to the combine.
Jeffrey Simmons tore his ACL, by the way, preparing for the combine. But he wasn't invited anyway, so.
And then when they get there to Indianapolis, because they usually have to fly there because who lives in Indianapolis? But yeah, they get there, take these long flights.
We ever going to talk about why they necessarily always have it in Indianapolis? You want to give some background to that? Some credence? Because some people might wonder why. Why is it always in Indianapolis?
I don't know, bro. Go ahead. Since you want to cut me off, go for it.
Because that building is state of the art, and that track is like state of the art. And it's like the standard, so they always have it in Lucas Oil Field, and I'm pretty sure the Ursays have a really good deal. They're making mad loot off that, and also, yeah. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
That's part of it. I mean, I don't have all the facts.
Are you sure? Because I thought we were in unnecessary toughness again. Because you've been mad talking over me.
Oh, that's. I mean, sorry. You usually talk over
wow. Me. Wait. Hold up.
You usually talk over me all the time. Did you just say
sorry? Wait. Hold up.
I guess. Did I?
I'm shocked. Breaking news. Hold up. Kenny said sorry. I didn't even know that was in your vocabulary. Holy shit.
Lo siento.
Holy shit. I've known you for what, 5 years now? Damn, you can learn new tricks. I'm shocked.
Do you just equate me to being a dog?
No, you can
on
be a magician. On the
last day of Black History Month?
You can be a magician.
Have you no shame, sir?
You can be a magician.
No one likes magicians.
You like magicians.
I hate
Shut
magicians.
The fuck up.
I agree with Sarah Silverman. If magicians are so fucking great, why can't they cure cancer? Bitch. See, I didn't want to curse. But now I'm annoyed.
All right, man. So, yeah, the combine, basically, they get to their hotels in Indianapolis. Oftentimes, many prospects, especially lower prospects, are all grouped together in hotel rooms, 3-4 people in 2 small hotel rooms. You go through all these vigorous 12-hour days where you're like waking up to work out, then going and working out, then doing interviews, and then going and having lunch with other teams after the fact, and then coming back and doing more workouts, and literally working on your 40-yard dash start in hotel hallways. Like, it's literally a grind.
Making
like,
sure
it's
you don't
a
pull your
4-day
hamstring.
grind. It's like a 4-day grind of just constant working out, interviews, eating, media days, training. Like, it's a circus. And honestly, it's kind of getting more and more like unnecessary because I feel like more and more, it always kind of happens where the top players don't do stuff at the combine. But now it seems like more and more they're not just not doing the measurables, but they're not even doing the on-field stuff, which is kind of making it less relevant.
Makes sense because I could just throw my pro day and be scripted and be in my own element and throw the guys that I know and trust.
Yeah, that's that. But for me, I think
because the combine's set up for you to fail if you're a quarterback.
For me, the combine and what I've always said is it's more of the mental element. Like, how do you deal with all those stress and adversity and being in a situation where you're not set up to succeed, where you're being set up to fail, frankly? How do you deal with that? What's your mentality through all that? Do you rise to the occasion? Like, that's kind of what I look for more in the combine, more so than anything else. I know you're big on the 40. You've always been big on the 40.
Because you can't be slow as hell and play at an elite level. Like, I'm not. I don't expect you to be the fastest, but if you're going to be a game-changing player at your position, I need you to not be slow as hell. Now, for like interior defensive linemen and some defensive ends, speed isn't always an issue. It's more like a functional agility, directional movement.
Get off. Yeah. Acceleration.
Yeah, the 10-yard speed. The 10-yard split. That's what everybody looks at. With skill players, I'm like, if you run at least a 4.5, that's all I really need to see.
The biggest thing is there's a difference between game speed and flat out speed.
Yeah.
You can ask John Ross about that. But even same thing goes for strength. I mean, you could.
There's
there's
Marcus
functional
Hunt.
strength. There's people that move people, and there's people that move weights.
Exactly. They're weight room kings.
And we all know those guys, even going back to high school.
Oh yeah, plenty of them. One dude who clearly was using steroids at my high school, but we're not gonna fuck that guy.
So, do you want to talk about standouts, or do you want to talk about really what's already been pretty much the biggest story of the 2-day-old combine so far?
We can jump to just the biggest news, but
so Kyler Murray,
Oklahoma quarterback, Heisman winner,
has officially what would you say? You can't say weigh in. What is hide-in?
He walked in, head held high, all the confidence in the world, standing at a solid 5'10",
which was the number for him because he needed to hit that 5'10" to really warrant being in that top 5.
People said he was 5'9".
Discussion.
He was a clear and decisive 5'10".
We were all talking about it off air, making jokes.
He's my sister's height.
He was probably hanging upside down.
They beat him like an old rug in a shower and let him hang and dry out.
They
put his body like in one of those heating bags.
He was stomping on his feet trying to make his heels swell in. He was wearing multiple socks. Wow. He was wearing cleats. Anything he could do to hit that 5'10".
Wearing platforms in his shoes, getting his posture as perfect as possible.
But yeah, he's 5'10",
207,
which is 17 pounds heavier than what he played at in college.
I'm like 20. He was like 185,
which is essentially Russell Wilson's height.
He was heavier than Russell Wilson when he came out of college. But most importantly, his hands were a little bit bigger than Baker Mayfield's, it was like 9 3/8 of an inch. Because usually the standard for quarterbacks, you don't want to be smaller. You don't want to have hands smaller than like 9 1/4 inch. Because if you have little hands as a quarterback, chances are it's going to be easier to get the ball stripped and all that other stuff. And that's why they looked at Drew Lock, because he had hands that were smaller than the average for quarterbacks. It was still 9 inches. I think it was like straight 9. But they looked to see how he handled the ball in cold weather games, bad weather games, when the ball's wet, things like that. Small stuff like that matters. You don't want somebody with super small ass hands trying to block or throw the football, because it matters.
Well, the thing with height and weight and even measurements, like
There's a threshold you need to hit.
It's a threshold because there's only so much you can do with so much God-given talent. Like, if you can't make your hands bigger, but if your hands are small, that limits you in situations that you've already described.
Unless you're a running back, then.
But even then, catching the ball,
you don't want short arms.
You don't want short in any position in football. Really, you don't want short arms.
Kickers can have no arms, and it'll be fine.
That's true.
You just want to be a punter and have,
But let me ask you this. So my whole thing with the Kyler Murray, and like I'm not going to pretend like I watched a ton of film on Kyler Murray because I haven't.
Because you don't know shit.
All right, go ahead, man. Talk.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead. Talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Well, bottom line is he's not throwing at the combine, which is what a lot of quarterbacks are learning they shouldn't do. Cam Newton threw at his pro day, and he turned out perfectly fine.
What I was going to say is everyone is likening Kyler Murray to Russell Wilson, who went in the third round, right?
But Kyler Murray has world-class speed for his position.
So that's what I'm saying.
Run a 4.37.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm glad everyone kind of is learning from Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. Like, oh, you don't need to let a quarterback fall to the second or third round because of his height. Cool. But at the same time, and somebody put that on Twitter, that doesn't mean Kyler Murray's game is perfect, and that doesn't mean he's better than these defensive linemen who probably deserve to go 1, 2, and even probably 3.
But we all know quarterbacks are just specialized over everybody.
I get that, but how much of this is kind of a residual effect of the impact that both Baker Mayfield had as an undersized quarterback and Lamar Jackson had as a mobile black quarterback to Kyler Murray?
Well, here's the thing.
Because honestly, I don't think Murray in that draft class would be a first-round pick. I think I would.
He wouldn't because that was a deep class.
I would put all those guys.
I think if Lamar Jackson had stayed another year and came out in this draft,
he'd be the number one pick,
unquestioned.
Yeah.
And for a lot of cats in those drafts you could name, they probably would have been the number one overall pick. Daniel Jones made the right choice by coming out of Duke. My thing is this. The spread offense and the evolution of the spread offense has changed so much to suit quarterbacks that now we really actually more than ever have to look at what a quarterback can do and judge him off his skill set and how he fits in the confines of an offense rather than, oh, he's a traditional drop back quarterback. That's why I'm kind of glad that this is happening.
So you're saying there's more of a push to system QBs is what you're saying?
I'm saying we're
because that's what I heard. The standard always was system QBs. Can you run this system? Can you hand the ball off? Can you memorize spider, 2-wide banana, all the other dumb bullshit? There's a lot. Like I said, there's a lot of quarterbacks from 10 years ago, whatever, who would be all pros today. Doug Flutie.
Let me explain this.
You almost just threw up.
I really almost threw it. I want everyone to hear this. Fuck Doug Flutie.
What did Doug Flutie ever do to you?
Aside from, no, I'm just playing.
Are you a Canes fan?
A little bit, yeah. I just hate Boston College, and I just thought he was trash. He was his era's Tim Tebow, but a better passer than Tim Tebow.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if Doug Flutie was 6'5", he would have been nice. I'll give you that. If Doug Flutie was 6'5", he would have been nice.
Or he would have been Gus Frerotte.
No, Gus Frerotte is trash on every level. Don't disrespect Doug Flutie by calling him Gus Frerotte. Now you're being rude. You didn't watch Gus Frerotte at Maryland. You don't even know he went to Maryland until I just said it.
I watched him at the Vikings and
when he ran into the goalpost and gave himself a concussion.
Yeah,
dumbass.
Trash.
But anyway, like I said, those quarterbacks could just run a system, and they just had to do that. These quarterbacks, and because everyone, and I think of like speciality and specification in sports, were like, you look at Christian McCaffrey, everybody's like, he would have been a first round pick as a receiver.
Yeah,
first round pick as a running back. And he did great things this year. Kamara, could have had first round talent.
I guess what I'm saying is, we know it's a copycat league, right? It always is. They're always like
now it's about the
copying
best
trends.
athletes. It's weird. It's about the best athletes.
And that's
now.
what I'm saying is like, just because Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson did good last year